Here we are at Massy Books at my show of prints of images that I created with Aleph Null. That's the artist statement, and it's available online, as we can see right here. You can read this at vispo.com/Massy. If you scan that QR code, it takes you to this document on the net. And beside that are 3 pieces by Jim Leftwich and myself. This piece is called Privileged the Integer, and it's made up of a lot of Jim Leftwich poems. I sampled about 300 of his poems, and who knows how many of those are in this piece, but there's a lot. It's got a lot of depth, and I sampled his work from the 90s to the present. She's full of text, as you can see. Text over here, and here we have Grace. Here we have Healthy. Many texts involved in this. Here we have Beauty. And some of those same texts going on in this piece, which is simply called Poem. Again, we have Grace over here, and again, Beauty over here, Joy down here, Joy again. And then we have this one, which is called The Cheek. All these titles are texts that are within the piece itself. And lots of text in this one as well. I made these pieces to be sort of endlessly readable. And there we are, looking down the stairs at Massy Books, and across the space. On that wall, these are all collabs between Bill Bissett and myself. Over there is the one monitor, the one screen in the show, which my dear wife, Natalie Funk, worked real hard to get going. Did a great job on it, so that all the Massy people need to do is unplug it at night and plug it in the morning. So here's a catalog that I put together, and contact info there, and this has got information on all the prints that are available. Some of them are not in the show. This one, these two are. That one is. This one is. This one already sold. Shipped it to Portland. This one isn't in the show. And so on. There's, I think there's 21 in this catalog, and there's 13 in the show. We just looked at this one. This one sold also. Shipped that to Pennsylvania. This one's up. So is this. This one isn't in the show. This one is, and this one isn't. Right. Anyway, there's a catalog for people to look at. This is from USAmerican Hitler. This is Aleph Null chewing on Graham, Lindsey Graham and Trump and Hitler. Amazing visual books for the most part, visual art books in the store. And as we come around this corner, a couple more prints. And here is slideshow. This has got 325 images in this slideshow, from collabs with Bill Bissett to collabs with Jim Leftwich, and these sort of color music pieces, and then also lots in the Trump USAmerican Hitler series. You can see back here the Raspberry Pi that is the computer, basically the size of a bar of soap, that Natalie has got powering this slideshow. Steve DePaula was very kind in loaning me this monitor. Thanks, Steve. And so here's Color Music 1. This was the first print that I made in this whole series. This was a sort of a test piece to see whether it would give us the sort of colors that we wanted, and it's face-mounted like the rest of them and printed on that same Moab Slick Rock Pearl paper, which seems to give us pretty good color. And this is called Color Music 2. These two don't sample from photographic images, but instead they're using complex gradients as the paint. And this whole wall, as I said, is collabs with Bill Bissett. Here's a piece called Unfolding. And then this actually was done with DB Cinema, not Aleph Null. This is a piece called I Said, which has got a pretty cool destroyed look to it. And this is a piece called To the Sea. A lot of Bill's more recent visual poetry in here is his more recent visual poetry has that code look to it, like those zeros, and those are actually brackets, and the zeros and stuff. That's the recent stuff. Whereas, this stuff right here was stuff that he did with a typewriter somewhere from the 60s to the 70s, I think. And these pieces in collab with Bill have work in them, Bill's work from the 60s to the present. So there's a lot of stuff that he did with a typewriter or by hand. I mean, we see over here that this is hand drawn. These samples are from a book of his called Lunaria, an artist book that it's like a $10,000 book that they have a copy of at SFU's special collections that I took 300 photos of. Their special collection of Bill Bissett. Bill lived in Vancouver for many years, and so SFU has one of the best collections anywhere of Bill's work from the 60s, and it was a great day taking all those pictures of his work. And going through 6 feet of his work page by page. This is a piece called Poem That Frees. And this is quite a large piece. This is like 40 inches by 22.5 inches. And the original image that I made it from, which I made to make into a print, has a pretty high resolution. It's like 12,000 times 6750 pixels. And again, this is sort of endlessly readable. I made these to be, fascinatingly readable as well as interesting to look at. And you can see that this one's got a lot of text in it too. This one's called Care of the Earth. Text which you see in this piece. And it's pretty interestingly readable. Because it's 12,000 by 6750, it has a sort of a readability to it, a sort of a level of detail that you don't get on any screen these days, because, the resolution of screens is typically 1920 by 1080. Compare that with 12,000 by 6750. You see a text down here. So this is a piece called Is or ISIS. Is ISIS. You see the bill text in there. And finally, this is another collab with Bill called Turning to Him. Great picture of Bill in the 60s. Bill in the 60s, filled with visual poetry of Bills from the 60s to the current time. Anyway, that's a look at the show. Let's go over here and look into the bookstore itself. We're on the second floor of Massy Books. And down there is the store, the first floor. There's Patricia Massey over there. Hey, working away. There we have it.